Hi, everyone, and welcome back to The Things We Know. Today's episode is one we have been looking forward to because we're talking about something that's not just important, it's essential. Caregiving, community, mental health, friendship, and what happens when women are caring more than anyone can see. If you have ever been the strong one, if you've ever been the helper, if you've ever been the person who just keeps going because there's no other option, then this conversation is for you.
Right. And one of the things we know is that isolation is not just lonely, it is dangerous. And community is not a nice to have, it's a lifeline. So I'm truly honored about today's guest because I admire her so deeply. I met her in person this past fall, finally, at a leaders retreat in Southern California. And she is exactly who you hope she is: warm, grounded, brilliant, and the kind of woman who makes you feel instantly safe. She's a community builder, a caregiver advocate, and the founder and executive director of an organization that is changing thousands of lives by making sure caregiving mothers are not doing the hardest thing in the world alone. Her name is Jessica Patay, and she founded We Are Brave Together. Jessica, welcome to the Things We Know.
Thank you so much. That is such a beautiful welcome. I think I'm just going to replay that for myself on any hard day. So thank you.
We often ask people, like, how does it feel to hear yourself introduced like that? Because that is kind of nice. You get to do it for so many people in your wonderful podcast too. But yeah, it probably doesn't happen for you as much.
Thank you.
Well, we're thrilled. I want to start just by saying thank you because I know how busy you are. I know that behind every organization like yours, even smaller ones, but and you're humble, and I just want to make sure people know, like, when you start to hear her talk about this organization, it is beyond this country. It's international, and it is reaching isolated moms everywhere. But behind every retreat, every support group, every conversation, there's a real story and there is real pain. And you are clearly pouring your heart into this work.
Mm. Jessica, for anyone who's meeting you for the first time, can you share how caregiving became part of your motherhood story and what it felt like at the beginning?
Absolutely. Well, I can go back to the beginning just like that. I say that Ryan, my second son, is the one who made me a caregiver. And he was born with Prader-Willi syndrome, a rare genetic disorder. We spent a month in the hospital not knowing why he couldn't suck, why he didn't cry, why he didn't really, wake up because he was hungry or had a wet diaper. He didn't move very much, and we were working with an OT that was trying to wake up his little mouth to see if he could suck. And we went home with a feeding tube, and thankfully, a week later, got a call from our pediatrician confirming the diagnosis, which is awful, but also comforting. It put us on a trajectory, it put us on a path. And thankfully, even though it's a rare genetic disorder, there were organizations, there was support available. Um, and now, fast forward, he's 22, he's out of the school district. We did try a day program for him, and he was mostly successful. But we realized after his last outburst, that was a pretty big one, that he just wasn't feeling safe there. Ryan is very intuitive, and if he feels that anybody around him is nervous about working around him, then
Mm,
he will be unsafe. He will feel unsafe and then act out.
mm,
And so, even though they were, even after this last big outburst, they really wanted to work with us and how can we make this work for Ryan? Very sweet, very, very kind, very forgiving. But I knew it wasn't going to work, and I knew it wasn't best. And I was proud of Ryan for his effort. He's always had a one-on-one since he was 3 years old. And so to go into a program where it's 3 to 1 is really hard, but we were aiming high, and he did great. And he was in it until we knew that it wasn't going to work. So we're
mm.
in between right now. And so I'm juggling my full-time job and Ryan. I do have some caregiving help, but not full-time. Uh, Prader-Willi syndrome is not a cocktail party answer explanation, I say. So um, for anyone who's out there who's like, well, what is that? I've never heard of that. You are not alone. In the early years, you're born with low muscle tone. So the early years are focused on OT, PT, speech therapy. Um, Growth hormone is introduced in infancy, a daily shot because kids and adults are in need of it, and it's specifically indicated. Ryan didn't walk till he was 3, even with all the early intervention. Um, and eventually they do kind of catch up on all these milestones. Ryan's articulation isn't completely perfect, but he is highly verbal and very social. In childhood, and this is the symptom that is crazy, there is a food drive that kicks in. So Ryan's body and brain does not tell him that he's had any food, which leads to food seeking behavior and complete and utter preoccupation with food. Food is like air to kids and adults with Prader-Willi syndrome. So because we got an early diagnosis and all the education and training, he's been on a food schedule since then. And we did not have to lock our kitchen until he was 13. And by the time he was 16, we had to be very, very vigilant. Like, do not leave the fridge unlocked while you run to the bathroom. So I am very vigilant about it. I'm on. And thankfully, he doesn't get extra food too often here at home. And his weight is managed, which is good because in PWS, you have this double whammy of wanting to eat all the time and you don't get the same amount of calories as everybody else. So it's crazy. It's crazy. And then there's behaviors and intellectual disability and high anxiety. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
I feel you. Totally different set of diagnoses, but a 22-year-old and also the middle of 3. And also juggling the things that don't fit because once you're out of the school system, which is so lovely to extend
Yes.
itself beyond
Yes.
graduation, it's really hit or miss to find the places that are going to work and not be extra work for you. So I'm just wondering if you can tell a little bit about what it was like for you at the beginning, having 3 kids and like figuring that out. Like how does a caregiver for 3 kids and one with very different needs go about it?
Great question. Well, I think, it made a difference knowing that I wasn't alone. So when Ryan received his diagnosis and we reached out to a California foundation and the national organization, right away I was set up with a mentor mom. And just knowing that I had somebody that I could go to who was ahead of me in the journey and who I could ask anything and who actually lived in Los Angeles, I just exhaled so much fear because I had somebody to go to. So just knowing I had that in my back pocket was very comforting, very, very comforting. And then once we quickly jumped into support groups for parents who have children with PWS, that was another level of comfort and, really protection because you have people around you in similar circumstances that are there to buoy you and be there for you. Juggling 3 little kids is not easy for anyone. Motherhood is hard anyways. It's hard to be a parent. And it's hard because we care so much. If we didn't care, we weren't overthinking, analyzing, reading, listening, talking to, veteran parents who have so much experience, it wouldn't be hard, but we care deeply about our children. We care about being, wonderful mothers and parents. Having 3 littles is I don't look back on that fondly. And I didn't have a lot of help with Ryan in the early years. I was grateful for school, grateful that he liked to go to school because it was respite for me. I was a stay-at-home mom for 17 years before I launched We Are Brave Together. But breaks and summers were really hard for me, honestly, as a parent. I have a wonderful husband who's hands-on, but he also has a demanding job as an attorney in downtown Los Angeles. And so he's not home at 5 or 6. And still to this day, well, what time do you think you'll be home? It's just, it's a very demanding job, and it's just really hard. It wasn't hard to make the decision to have a third child, though. I want to make sure I say something about that because I know that there are people who have a child with a disability or a diagnosis and wonder if they should have more or not.
Mm.
And it's such a personal decision. And I just had a really strong desire for a third, and so did Chris. And we knew that the risk of having PWS was 1 in a million. Again, to happen
Mm.
again in a family is 1 in a million. But the world of disability and what we used to say special needs was very real to me, obviously. And that question was there. We could have another child with some sort of significant need, medical need, high support need. But our desire overrode the fears and the what ifs. And I'm so glad that we had our daughter, Kate. And I'm so glad I got a girl.
So, a lot of women listening will understand this immediately, but for the ones who do not live inside caregiving, what do people misunderstand about what it means to raise a child with disabilities or medical complexities?
I really appreciate this question. So, you're doing all the normal parenting stuff, but then you have doctor appointments and therapy appointments, multiple per week. Um, in Ryan's first few years, he had a urologist, a pulmonologist, endocrinologist, um, obviously his primary doctor, occupational therapist, physical therapist, speech therapist. I mean, we just was swirling with appointments. And then when you enter the school district at age 3, you have IEP meetings. And that's not just once a year. Usually, there can be in between meetings as well. There can be emergency meetings when things happen as well. So you're navigating social services, you're navigating the school system. It's a lot. You're navigating the medical team around your child. It's just a lot of time and energy and focus that is on one child. And so then you feel really terrible as a mom that you cannot dedicate as much time and energy to your other children. And although Luke and Kate today are incredible human beings and resilient and strong and compassionate, they're also scarred. It's very hard on the siblings, and you carry that as a mom. Um, what makes it different too is that there is a grief that caregiving parents carry. We all had thoughts and ideas and dreams about what motherhood, parenthood, family life, family vacations, memories, traditions were going to be. And if you're a recovering perfectionist and you go into marriage and motherhood with these really high ideals, it all comes crashing down when you enter what I call altered, parenthood or altered motherhood. You just know that now it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. It's going to play out differently. It's not what you thought. It's not what you envisioned. It's not what you dreamed. And it's not even just like your own fancy dreams about family life. It's how it's going to play out for your child. What are they going to suffer? What pain will they go through? Will they know that they're different from their peers, from their siblings? Will they have that understanding? How is the world going to treat them? How is the school going to treat them? How are their peers going to treat them? This means that for me, I'm a lifelong caregiver. Ryan will not be independent. Now, will we place him outside of the home? Probably, because that's always been our plan. But I'm still a lifelong caregiver.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. Obviously that hits on every level with the siblings and the pivots. It reminds me of something that you've reposted a couple of times, which I think is so powerful, that woman's essay that's like, people try to say that having a child with a disability is like you're planning on going to Italy, but you land in Holland, and you were like, no, it's like like having your luggage lost and then you don't go anywhere, or like it's
Yes.
exactly like going to a different exotic country. And
Hmm.
um it's so hard to explain that. It isn't just different, it is
Hmm.
an alternate universe, as you just said.
It is. It's an alternate universe. It's like the rug has been pulled out from underneath you permanently, and uh, it's it's so stressful. It's so stressful. I mean, again, parenting is hard. Kids are not little robots that you just program with the right words and they just do what you want them to do and what they need to do and have the lives that you want them to have.
Mm.
But when you have a child who has medical emergencies or is psychologically fragile or behaviorally fragile, Ryan, we're not in and out of the hospital, Kari, like you, but we're dealing with high anxiety and behaviors and the threat of aggression. Now, not as much as it used to be at all, thank God. But that's what Luke and Kate grew up with. That's what I grew up with. I certainly developed, I probably ran anxious before I had Ryan, but I don't run less anxious now that I've had Ryan, um, for sure. And the stress that it puts on a marriage. I mean, my kids are at the ages where Chris and I should be able to take off for the weekend. You know, I mean, they've been at that, they're 20. My oldest just moved out. But Ryan's at home, Kate's at home, 20 and 22. Chris and I should like be able to take off to Italy for a week.
Yep.
And we cannot leave Ryan home for a second.
Yeah. Mm.
I can't say, "Oh, Ryan, I'm going to run to the store and get milk. Stay here, watch TV." No,
Mm.
Yeah.
never.
Same. I mean, different reasons, but same. Um, we're gonna get to. It's just, it's so. I'm sure Lisa's feeling the same way. It's just so touching and like even that much more relevant that you've experienced this before you created this for other people. And we want to get to We Are Brave Together, but I love going into this, if you don't mind, just
Hmm.
because you share so deeply and openly here, and I think ways that people don't talk about enough. And you describe often the isolation that caregiving moms experience. And I would love for you to put some words to that. Like, what does that isolation look like in real life? Like, whether it's your own or all the moms you've come into contact with. What do we mean by isolation? Because I think everybody has experienced isolation in one way or another, at least since 2020, if not before. But
Hmm.
this is a different type. Because I think it can happen even when you're in a room full of people.
Hmm. Yeah, it actually like it gets me kind of choked up because the very first thing that I think about when I think about isolation is the fact that your life is different from everyone else's. And you walk in and you meet the other parents at school or whatever. My oldest, entered the school district first, and so those sets of parents are kind of like the first sort of school friends that you make and sort of buddy up with, and none of them had children with any kind of high needs. And they were sweet and wonderful, but I was different. I had a very different life among them, and that is isolating. And sometimes because our lives are heavy and intense and different, we don't feel like talking about it, you can isolate, right? I
Mm.
don't want to talk about it. I don't want to be Debbie Downer talking about my life or my story or what have you, or what's going on in my home.
Because you don't want to get that face.
Yeah, I don't want the pity face. I don't want the I don't know how you do it question.
Mm.
I don't want to hear that I'm a superhero. Um, or just the nothing that people just, or, it can get worse where they can be really invalid. Oh, really? No, he seems so normal. He's so handsome. That's not helpful.
Oh, well, good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and we could do a whole episode on what to say and what not to say, couldn't we?
Mhm.
Um, the other thing that isolates us is we have so many appointments.
Yeah.
Mm.
We're going to so many appointments that we can't join bunko or pickleball or I don't know, whatever, like, sort of activities. You may not feel like you can join the PTA because you're just trying to breathe, right? Um, And in Ryan's situation, because of the food seeking, not wanting to be around food, so multi-family gatherings in the beginning were okay, but once the food drive got stronger, we frankly didn't want to bring him to anything
Mm,
because then we're negotiating, navigating, the buffet, the
Yeah.
table with all the food. And it's too hard for Ryan. And then it's too hard for us because then we're just one on one with Ryan. Remember when you had like a 1 or 2 year old and you're like, sure, we're going to do this multi-family get together for the Super Bowl. And then you end up just watching your kid to keep them safe. You're like, why did I even come? It can be the same when you have a child who's disabled at any age.
Yeah.
It's just easier to stay home.
Yeah.
That's isolating. That's very isolating. And then, um, just going out to dinner or going out to lunch or grabbing ice cream with your kids is just kind of part of our American culture, right? But I, I don't want to do that with Ryan. Now,
Yeah.
one on one, he's okay. He's okay. I don't enjoy taking him to a restaurant, but it's not as anxiety provoking as if the five of us were to say, let's go out to dinner for dad's birthday.
Yeah.
No and no. I'd rather get a sitter and just go with Chris.
Mm.
Or, we'd sort of sneak around it and Luke and Kate might join us, but Ryan doesn't know that. They think they have other plans, but they actually meet us at the restaurant.
Mm. Yeah.
gosh, this is, Carrie said it, you speak so eloquently about it. What do you think that kind of isolation does to a woman over time? Like her sense of self? I mean, you've talked a little bit about the friendships, marriage and partnerships, nervous system, her mental health. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, I feel it deeply, but could you put some words to that? Because again, I'm sure there's plenty of women listening that know this on some level, but also might think they're the only ones going through it. So to hear you speak about this so eloquently, I want to say normalizes, which gosh, I wish it wasn't normal for anyone, but
Hmm.
it just will make them feel seen and heard.
And that's what I want. I really
Yeah.
want that for all human beings, but I want that for moms who are feeling so alone and isolated in the trenches of caregiving.
Yeah.
Um, what it does to you is it leaves you to yourself with a lot of emotions and a lot of thoughts and a lot of loneliness. And, the loneliness of loneliness is detrimental to our
Mm,
mental health and well-being. And so we need to find other people who are in similar circumstances, or even other people who've been through hard changes, abrupt, scary changes or crises, who can relate to what we're going through. It's really critical. And I say, I was definitely in the why me, why Ryan, why us, why our family? Nobody around me is suffering with, this. Um, but being around community, being around other people in similar circumstances helped shift me to what now? What can I
mm,
do with this? Why me to what now? And I credit the power of community doing that because the more you are alone, the more you tell yourself you're alone. But there are
mm.
so many people at your fingertips that are ready and willing and waiting to support you, love you, say, I see you, I validate you. But we have to take that first step.
Mm. It feels like community is at the heart of everything that you do since I've met you. And it's really touching and I won't lie, emotional because it relates so much. To hear you talk about your experience, and I'm sure Lisa's feeling this, like to think about everything you're continuing to hold and navigate in your own journey as a mom, and then to know what you've created for so many people. So let's just go ahead and talk a little bit about how We Are Brave Together came together and the name, because I do feel like, oh wow, ever since I've been able to plug into more moms who understand, um, I do feel stronger. So I would love to hear you talk about the inception and
Mm.
not just what it's done for you, but what you've noticed, what you've learned.
I think, before we are brave together, I'm all about my girlfriends, and my girlfriends are my family, and I believe in gathering women together. Um, and I believe that when we leave, the three C's, cattiness, competition, and comparison behind, that the intersection of our lives is a gift, and we can empower each other and teach each other and learn and inspire. And when we come together and we see each other's strength, we are strengthened. We are empowered
Mm.
for our own journeys. And so if I see you being brave, then I know I can be brave. And so all of that was swirling in me as I was thinking about starting something. For years and years and years, I definitely wanted to start something for moms. I just didn't know what it was, I just didn't know what it was going to look like. And then I started doing these girlfriends retreats with one of my best friends, Kimberly, who, um, she was on the East Coast in New York. I'm in California, LA, and we always had said, what if we brought our friends together? East meets West, West meets East, invite friends and friends of friends and have a great girls' weekend. But maybe hire a speaker. So, something inspirational built into, shopping and mimosas or whatever. So we finally did that for the first time in 2012, and we did that several times, and that was a good basis. That was a good learning experience. That gave me confidence. Oh, okay, I know how to put on a weekend like this. But who really needs a weekend off? Who really needs a weekend off? Caregiving moms.
Mm.
So that was part of the genesis. Um, I'm a natural gatherer and connector, and I think because I had experienced the power of community, I wanted that for everybody, and I didn't want moms to feel like they were alone. If I could literally show up on everyone's doorstep with flowers and chocolate and your favorite coffee drink, your favorite bottle of wine, and a giant banner that says you are not alone, I would. I really wish I could. Like, I really wish we could start a movement where it's like a pay it forward thing, where let's show up on each other's doorsteps and remind each other that we're not alone.
Mm. Love that. I'm down. So you founded We Are Brave Together in 2017, and now it serves more than 4,100 caregiving mothers across 50 states and 28 countries. Holy moly, that is incredible. What do you think made this community take root the way it has?
Well, the need is just there. I mean, when
Yeah.
we launched in my backyard, and I had just been gathering names that year, and I mean, there was just nothing like it around us. There was just nothing like it. So the fact that it was kind of niche and also so needed, because the stats are there, right? We know there's millions of caregiving moms all over the globe. I think it took off because there was a need, and then I had great people behind me who said, I'll be a part of your first board and I'll donate. And, I had the right people around me to say, you can do this. I mean, and I was paralyzed. I was like, I'm such a dreamer. I'm such a visionary. I'm your typical founder, but how do you execute this? How do I get a website? How do I do anything, but I had great people who said, yes, you can do this. Yes, you can learn all of this, and we're here with you. And thankfully, Chris, my husband, was extremely supportive, and he funded everything until we got our nonprofit status and could start fundraising. And I just, to this day, I have the best people around me, whether it's, board members or my admin assistant who has been with me for 6 years. We've had, a few podcast editors who we're on our third, and she's amazing, amazing. Just everyone's role has been significant. Our website team we've had from the beginning, bookkeeper, lawyer, CPA, just everyone makes this possible. And it's
Mm.
not just me. And yes, I'm the one on Instagram. And yes, I'm the one making videos and sharing my thoughts and feelings and, truth telling and storytelling. But there's so many people around me. And like you, Carrie, I had this idea. Well, I don't want to just do support groups here in Southern California. It would be really great if we could do them in more locations. And in 2020, we started, chapters in separate cities in new states and new locations. And now we have, I don't know, I think 35 connection circles across the United States. Our retreats started in Southern California. They're across the United States. It's grown beautifully, but it's because of everyone who is making that possible and all of our donors that are making it possible. Our mission, I didn't say this, our mission is to preserve and protect the mental health of caregiving moms. And we do that by offering connection circles in person or virtual, which is what we call our support groups. Some of them are topical, most of them are by geography. And we offer low-cost weekend retreats. We cover 75% of the cost. We fundraise and shamelessly ask people for money. And we also offer scholarships for those retreats. And we have our podcast, Brave Together podcast, since 2020. And then our newest offering was a book of caregiving stories in 2024. And our second book is coming out this year, 2026.
So you have a community that helps build this community, is what I'm hearing. When you're
Yes,
talking about
exactly.
all the people that are supporting you. Yeah, just because you help pay them doesn't mean they're not your community.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
that's
right.
lovely.
Yeah.
I want to say too, the book is so good, the one that's out, and the one that's coming out, which I love, is letters from moms to moms who are at the beginning of that journey, whether you just got a diagnosis or if you're like us, it's really nebulous and sort of unfolds over time, and
Mm-hmm.
both are painful in different ways.
And you're in the book.
I am.
Yes, Carrie.
You have a chapter. Is that what it is? A chapter, a letter? I
It's
do.
a letter,
It's
but
really,
chapter.
and it was like just being part of it was so cathartic and was such an experience. And you brought together incredible writing mentors for us who also had similar experiences. It was an incredible experience.
I'm
That in
so
itself
glad.
could be a retreat, right? A writing your story retreat.
Oh, for sure, we need to do that. For
Yeah.
sure, we need to do that. That would be great.
Lisa's and my retreats are like that for women writing their story at this point in their life and like what's next. And I do think that is such a cathartic experience. Okay, so when I love the mission, protecting, and like the mental health of caregivers, right? So tell us about like what you've been able to enjoy seeing, obviously not just for you, but for all the women who find you. Like when a mom finds We Are Brave Together, what do you notice like happens for them, or what are they telling you in these meetings they attend? And I also want to just say, if you're listening to this and you haven't checked it out, like you offer such a variety of things for people. Like it's almost like, I know this is a strange comparison, but it's almost like an AA meeting. Like at any point as a caregiver, almost every day there's something you can find from We Are Brave Together online or locally. It really is lovely.
Thank you. Thank you. Um, I already forgot your question. What was it?
Yeah, what are you noticing happens when someone finds
Oh,
We Are Brave
yes.
Together?
Yes.
Like what's kind of the arc you either hope for or you've actually been enjoying see play out?
Well, what I hear is that this is a lifeline. I was drowning.
Mm.
I was drowning all alone. I'm drowning in a sea of other caregivers, but none of us can reach each other. I hear so much gratitude from moms who attend our circles, our retreats, listen to the podcast. They feel validated, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel understood, and they realize I have been so alone and now I will never be alone again.
Mm. Wow. So is it so they're looking for the community out of the jump, so to speak. But then is it resources? Is it knowledge, emotional support?
I
Like,
think
is
all
it
of
just
that.
being witnessed?
I think it's all of that. I think it's all
Yeah.
of that. I think we're giving moms permission to take care of their mental health because moms put
Mm.
themselves last. Caregivers put themselves last. There's so much false mom guilt out there. And then you layer on a child with extra needs. then there's the potential for even more mom guilt. I can't step away. No one else can do this but me. It's selfish to take care of my own mental health. It's selfish to take a night off or a weekend off. False, false, false. I will debate you all day on that. If we go down and complete burnout or compassion fatigue, then we're no good to our family, and somebody else is going to have to step in anyways. So if there's any way to prevent total burnout by, engaging in practices that we talk about, practicing self-compassion, practicing gratitude, having time with a life-giving friend who understands what you're going through, stepping out of the house to do something that lights you up. It could be
Mm,
anything, anything. It could be half an hour. Doesn't
yeah.
mean you have to give up a day. Doesn't mean you have to join a gym or it's something costly. We will give you millions of ideas of bite-sized ways to take care of yourself if that's all you've got. Um, we're going to help teach you how to talk to others about your situation and how to educate others on what to say or what not to say or what's helpful. We're going to teach people how to ask for help, which is really hard. People have a really hard time in our culture asking for help because we should be able to do it all. But even if you didn't have a kid with medical needs, high support needs, disability, motherhood is not a one person show. Or even if you have a great spouse or partner, we need help. We all need help. We really need that village.
Also, with speak from experience here with that exhausted, often sleep deprived mentality of meeting someone's needs 24/7. It's not just hard to ask for help, it's hard to even actually identify your own needs.
Very true.
So
True.
I think it can just be that, like, I mean, there's just that constant cycle of, I got to do. And then if you do come up for air,
Mm-hmm.
can get back into that, like, why me? And so what I love
Mm,
about what you're saying is like this transformation you're holding beautiful space for. It goes from why me to what now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it speaks to choice and agency. So like there's so many ways you share just different ways like you were just were, but there's a lot of just programmed resources you bring to help women make that shift without bypassing the reality of what they've lost, but like
Mm-hmm.
into like, okay, advocacy for schools, advocacy for when they're aging out, like all of that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we do try to provide resources. I list in the secret Facebook group. Um, so many of our newsletters are, and they're all online, list resources, whether it's a book, an article, a podcast, a program, a website. Um, we try to give people those resources. Um, I think, I think that when you're so exhausted, when you're sleep deprived, when you're used to just running on your hamster wheel, it is really hard to get off and try something new and different. And I just want to honor that. I want to validate how hard it is to get out of the cycle that you've created since your kid was struggling in whatever way or since you received a diagnosis. Um, we're here to pour so much compassion on you and so much validation. And we don't want you to be stuck in bitterness or resentment or why me or, because that is not going to get you anywhere healthy or whole or energized. That will just suck the life out of you. And we were here to remind you and teach you how to protect your energy.
mm. I love how you phrase this, that you believe crisis can be a catalyst for creativity and meaning and purpose. I'm certain most people don't think of it that way. And yet, if
True.
you, right?
No, probably
However,
for the first time I said that, I think people rolled their eyes, but
yeah, kind of like, what? But it is such an empowering idea. It's a beautiful reframe, but it's also delicate. So, what do you think is the difference between meaningful transformation and toxic positivity?
I think I think toxic positivity doesn't really allow you to feel. I think there's
Amen.
just you're just bypassing what's real and true. And what's real and true is that this is hard and sometimes it sucks and sometimes you love your kid and sometimes you hate your kid and sometimes you love family life, sometimes you hate it. Sometimes you're like, I can do this. No, I can't. Like there's so many emotions and thoughts that come with life and with this journey. And I think we are toxic when we don't recognize that.
Mm.
Whether we say it out loud, write it in a journal, tell your best friend, tell somebody who's safe, say it in a connection circle, say it at a retreat. Just honor your true feelings. And at some point, I hope that all of us, even when we're saying this is hard, that we can also say, how can I grow? How can
Mm.
pain be a professor? What can I learn? No, I wouldn't wish this on myself, my child, on anyone, but what can I learn? How can I grow? How can I be a better human in the midst of this? How can I keep going?
Mm.
You know, in our coaching training, we always talk about how your struggle is the greatest gift to other people. And I keep thinking of that with you. It's just beautiful. And, so many women listening to our show are in big transitions, some they didn't ask for, some are really painful, some are just kind of life moments, right? And some are caregivers, but some are not, but all are in this arena,
Mm-hmm.
right? If they're paying attention, right? So in this work of becoming. So what do you feel is possible for women, even when their life is not the one they have chosen? Like what do you want women to take from that?
Mm. Well, I want to just first of all say, like, I'm sorry that you're in a situation that you didn't want. And that's hard and that hurts and is painful. And and I think it's important to just ask the question. You know, it just sounds so cliche, but where can the butterfly come out of this? You know, where can the transformation come? How can something so painful and something that feels so broken come together? I think if we ask the questions, it can come. And I think it's also okay to say, I hate all you personal growth transformation people, and I'm sick of hearing about this. I am in pain. I am in serious pain. It's okay. Speak your truth. It's the only way to move through it. Um, I think sometimes we have to just force ourselves to do practices to bring about the transformation that we want. Um, Whether that's practicing gratitude, practicing self-compassion, journaling, cathartically, um, moving our body is really important when we are under stress and pain and suffering. Sometimes we just have to make ourselves do this. When we were in the middle of the pandemic, well, at the start of the pandemic, and it came to light that my daughter was suffering, very much suffering from depression and anxiety. And like siblings do, they hide it and they shove it under the rug because they need to be the perfect sibling and the perfect child and not stress their parents out, not have any needs or wants or dreams or hopes. Um, we've got the pandemic, which was horrible. We're shut down, we're shut in. We don't have the help that we need for Ryan. Um, you're worried about your kids. I'm running We Are Brave. I probably should have taken a leave, but I didn't, during the pandemic. I was I was squeezed, so tight. The sort of picture, like, have you ever touched a balloon that is blown up so tight that you think if I whisper on it, it's going to pop, right? It's like so full. That is how I felt. I was like, I am going to pop and I am going to be in shreds everywhere. Like I was and I made myself move my body. I made myself go for a 5-minute walk.
Mm.
I made myself do the things that help me or that I know could help me in the midst of incredibly high stress and heartbreak.
Mm.
So I
That's
hope that's helpful.
So inspiring. And I just want to say, as somebody who's, you know, like we in Portland, we're trying, there's so many families here who need this. And even then, like so many ones with the severe medical stuff, like they can't always meet up.
Right.
Having the ability to do it virtually and in person, and the model you've created, which is so much of what you've just been saying. It's like, what's one little thing we can share with each other that's helping? What's just speak without feeling like anyone's here to fix you,
Yeah.
and like how to like have it not be the whole time why me, but like can be if that's what you need, right? Like it's just this beautiful safe place that seems to leave people feeling heard and seen and loved up, and so it hurts to hear that it was like that for you, and the fact that you kept it going through all of that, and that it still unfolds that way for people. I hope that gives back to you.
Mm. It does. It does. I don't think I don't think I would have made it through the pandemic without having We Are Brave to focus on outside of what was going on with family.
Mm, wow.
Hmm.
So, if someone is listening and they want to support a caregiver in their life, what do you
Hmm.
wish friends and family would do differently? I know we talked about we could have a whole episode on what not to say, but what
Right.
does actually help? Because many people, like you said earlier, say nothing because they don't want to make it worse. They don't know what to say, and some guidance would be lovely.
So bringing up that our child is disabled or is not going to make us more sad. So please just say something.
Yes.
Um, what I would love for people to know is just offer a tangible action. I'd like to bring you dinner on Monday or Wednesday. You tell me which night is better. And do you have any dietary restrictions? I'm going to bring you your favorite coffee tomorrow morning. Tell me what your favorite drink is. Can I go with you to some of your appointments? It's probably nice to have just a friend along for the ride. I could drive you, you know. Can I go to the pharmacy for you? Can I come over and do laundry? Or actually, do you want to just drop your laundry off on your porch and I'll take it and bring it back?
Mm.
So just tangible things, not tell me if there's anything I can do. That's too
Yes.
overwhelming, right? For
Yes.
anyone going through crisis or loss, um, we need somebody just to offer something tangible,
Mm.
not let me know what I can do. Can I do anything? I can't decide. I'm in crisis mode or, what have you. So offer something real and tangible. And when I've pulled caregivers, just taking things off the to-do list matters. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to provide childcare. That would be incredible. Let me give you a date night. Let me give you a night off. That would be incredible, right? That's the ultimate, right? Free help. Are you kidding me? With somebody I love and trust, because it's very, very hard for caregivers to ask their family and friends for help. Very, very hard. Um, but there's the other to-do lists that we would love help with. So
I always say, like, if someone's going to Trader Joe's, just tell me. I might need like three things. I wish other people would do that.
yeah,
You've
I
often asked me to get you something at Trader Joe's, but I live in LA.
I know. I've started reaching out to people to say I'm going to Trader Joe's. Do you need anything? If I'm going, just so I could get that going. But,
yeah, yeah. Let's make it like a real thing. Like let's just offer that to each other.
yeah, you had a post that I think when this airs, I'm gonna have Lisa repost it for us. Is about like all the things not to say. So we'll save it for that because we talked about that earlier. There's just a lot of things that,
Mhm.
and it's like at the same time, I don't want anyone to walk on eggshells either. But
Right.
it is helpful and instructive for people to know that pity isn't helpful. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm just watching the times. I kind of feel like we have to have you back at some point because Lisa and I had a lot of stuff here. But I just to start to wrap up, I do want to ask, what do you know now that you wish you could go back and tell the earliest version of yourself? And I don't want you to give it too much away because it's probably in the book. But is there something right now that you feel like, oh, I wish I could go tell Jessica this?
Are we allowed to cuss?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's a lot.
totally allowed to.
You are fucking amazing. And you are so much stronger and braver and capable than you ever thought possible, that your heart has exploded with so much more love and compassion than you ever thought possible.
Hmm. It might be similar, but what would you like to say to the women listening who perhaps are at the beginning right now, freshly in it, scared, overwhelmed, might even be in tears as they're listening to this?
Mm. I want to say, I see you. I want to say, I love you. I'm here for you. You don't have to do this alone. You're not alone. There are so many great women who want to walk with you.
Mm.
I asked you ahead of time, like, is there a song, a theme song you have, or a song that captures Brave together? But if you don't have one, is there just something that just brings you joy in all of this
Mm.
little thing?
I think, I mean, all of it. Well, not crunching numbers and doing budgets and all of that. No, that doesn't bring me joy at all. But doing the work doesn't feel like work. And I think just all the one-on-one conversations that I've had with moms through the years. And when I get an email or a DM or a Facebook message from somebody who is either listening to the podcast or who got connected or who's been to, a connection circle or a retreat, or they've been a scholarship recipient, and I get a thank you and like a personal testimonial of what We Are Brave means to them. I mean, it's everything. It means everything to me.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Hmm. So, where can people find you and We Are Brave Together and just learn more about your work?
So go to wearebravetogether.org and you can find us on Instagram at We Are Brave Together. You can find us on YouTube, We Are Brave Together. The podcast is called Brave Together Podcast. You can find us on Apple and Spotify, and we're also on UK Health Radio, which is very exciting. And yeah, just look up We Are Brave Together. You'll find all the things.
And if someone's listening and just thinking, gosh, I need this community, I need this support, I need people, what would be the first next best step?
Go to the website and join us through the website. Membership is free. Almost everything that we offer you is for free, with the exception of the retreats, but we cover most of the cost of those retreats. So just go to our website and join us. And then you'll get our emails. You'll see everything that we're offering. Go to our website and really look at gatherings.
Mm.
Look at everything that we're doing. Look at every page on our website and see what resources are there.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us and for doing all the work you do. I know, Kari, it's been a lifeline for her and she's so highly involved. And so I'm so grateful outside of Kari that you came and were with us today. This is definitely a conversation that matters and it's going to help so many women feel seen, heard, and less alone.
Yeah. And thank you for your precious time. We really are trying to honor it and wrap this up, but we'd love to have you back sometime if that would.
Yeah, we have like a whole nother podcast worth of questions.
Yes, I would love to anytime. Let's do it. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for this opportunity. I really, it's always an honor to share my story, to share about We Are Brave and to offer this to other women.
Mm. Well, thanks everyone, as usual, for listening to the things we know. And if you loved this episode, please follow the show, download, share this episode, leave a review if you're on Apple. It helps more women find these conversations. Of course, we're going to link Jessica and We Are Brave Together in the show notes. And as always, we will be back next week.
Stay brave. It's what you always say, right, Jessica? Stay brave.
Dave, or yeah, I don't know if we actually say that at the end, but that would be a good one. We say hi bravies now at the beginning, and
Oh,
that's kind of something new in the last year. And I'm trying to end our season this season with I see you, we see you, and we love
mm.
you. You know, yeah,
Thank you. Well,
yeah,
bye.
I love Bravies. That's so cute.
bravies.
So sweet. I love it. Well,
Aw,
thanks
thank you.
again. And thanks, everyone. We'll be back next week.
Bye.